All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to our True Seekers class. Today we will talk about 3 original soul wounds. Now, this is the first class of this series, and many of these classes will be based on the book Pleiadian Code I have written, and the Pleiadian Code 2 that's going to come out very soon, which I have also written, is the channel book with the Pleiadians. I call it the True Seekers because I do believe that there's a truth, a lot of truth out there in the world that we are connecting to. And it's time for us that we start to distinguish what is truth and what is not truth. And maybe there is something, that even I thought that does not resonate with you. So you find your own truth within. It doesn't mean that we have to follow everything that anybody says. It means to find our truth within. What resonates with one person may not resonate with the other person, and so on. So the 3 original soul wounds, obviously we do have quite more, but the 3 are the main one that you really wanted to go into. Now, what is a soul wound? Soul wound is a memory within the soul, the energy imprint within the soul that comes from past lives. And it comes from the past life connected to the earth life. It doesn't really come from the Pleiades or the Orion or the Sirius or somewhere else, because we are dealing and healing the past lives on earth, so we can leave this realm eventually, let's say after this lifetime, or when you decide that, and not to come back. Pleiadians always says what happened on the earth has to be healed on the earth. It's almost like saying with the Vegas, what happened in the Vegas stays when the Vegas. Well, we don't want it to stay on the earth. We want to heal it so we can get off the earth. Now, 3, how do these soul wounds manifest? If you experience any kind of the fear, anxiety, panic attacks, depression, even the hostility, apathy, or you feel that you are frozen in the fears, and it doesn't really lead to much in this lifetime, you have dealt with this lifetime, you have healed stuff that happened to you in this lifetime, there's a pretty good chance that they are coming somewhere from past lives, and your subconsciousness is playing it over for you, and you're kind of trying to figure out what the heck is this. Now, often our first connection with these past lives comes through the dreams, in the dream state. You may be dreaming that you are in this beautiful land that may be Atlantis, and there are these beings walking in the alien body, and there was these beings walking in the normal body, and maybe there was this big rush of the water happening, or the fire, and people were dying, and you were fronting and running back and forth, and then you wake up in the morning and you go like, oh my God, what just happened? Did I watch too much TV yesterday? And I'm dreaming from science fiction movie that I have may watch, or is this something that may have happened to me? And once you start questioning it, then there is something that may have happened to you. Your soul communicates to you in the dream state. That's when you kind of are, your logical mind is kind of resting, and soul is traveling up there in the astral and trying to show you, look, here is the story from your book of life, or what we would call the Akashic record, right? Every life has a book of life, and all this is in your Akashic record. So there are a lot of books in your Akashic record. So it says, there is your book of life from the Atlantis, and this what happened to you. Of course, it would be beautiful if your soul gives it to you black and white in your dream. You wake up, know what to do. It gives you the clues, because it cannot really spell it out all for you. First of all, you will not really understand it. Second of all, you will question it. Third of all, it will totally upset your ego. So your ego is your counterpart. It's your partner in crime. It could be, if we call it, your twin flame. It is the shadow that's waiting there for you on earth. And the ego's job is to help you to survive. Now, those who attend my classes, they know that I call the mind an ego. It is a human energy, an animal-based energy that we have used to anchor our energy here on earth. And we're going to go into very, very details in it in this class. So you're in your dream state. The soul is trying to let you know what happened. It's also trying to prop you that you get you get you reach your ego and you start working with your ego, because you have to work hand in hand together to heal this past life so you can transmute them in this beautiful loving energy. That is why soul doesn't handle it from up high beautiful space for you. That's why you cannot come here with a clean sheet, because the ego is equal partner of your past life as the soul is. Now, let's go start with the meditation. We're going to do a little bit backward today. We're going to start with a little meditation to open ourselves, to open this doors into your past. Because then when I talk, I want you to notice, does it resonate with you? Do you feel it within you? Do you feel it somewhere in your chest, in your stomach, in your lower belly? Do you feel the pain in your leg? It doesn't matter where it is. That means there is the problem that you can release. And while we are in the resonance of this energy, you know, your ego is gonna be there and says, I'm listening, and your soul goes like, yay, I'm here, let's do this. And so there's a pretty good chance that you do a major release just while we are talking, or very soon after, which I will definitely leave you to let you go home with some kind of the tools to do it. So let's do a quick meditation. In the meditation, I'm going to ask you to open the door. We will open the door by the clicking our fingers, because clicking your fingers helps to clean up very quickly the energy around you. If there's any negative energy or the funny energy around you, you know, like that, like frantic a little bit, right? Because it's evening, we get a little bit stressed out through the day. We just clean it by our clicking around us, and we clean that energy. So we're going to do as above, so below, as on left, so on right. That's going to be clicking. Then we're going to close the door behind us. We're going to step into the through the beautiful doorway in our past lives. And we're going to start in the Atlantis. All right. So get yourself ready. Take a deep breath in. Release all the air out. Take one more deep breath in. And let go of your worries and all your expectations. And one more deep breath in. And let everything go. And relax your feet, your legs, your belly, your back, chest and arms, your neck, and your head. Everything is just beautifully relaxing. Now we ask and thank you to be connected with the highest available energy of God, of our highest self, and the frequency of the unconditional love. Glansiana Kirkalanata, Diwahariana Sata, Tiasaniana Kirkasa, Elavon, Tiana Siua Keha Aso. Okay, we're gonna bring this unconditional love in our body. We're gonna bring it in the head and the neck. We're gonna breathe it in and out as much as it's comfortable for you. In your chest, in your arms, in your back. Going all the way down in your stomach and your belly and your hips and your knees, all the way legs up to the knees. And we are going to send the unconditional love to the crystalline grid of the earth, so it can reflect it for us, so it can mirror it for us, we can amplify it for our use to look in our past lives. And out from the crystalline grid, where it connects with the ancient Atlantean crystal, this energy rises slowly up and up and up. It rises in the bottom of your feet. It's very soothing, very relaxing in your ankles and the knees. Up in your first chakra and open it wide, beautiful red center. And we allow ourselves to let go of everything that no longer serves you in positive way. Anything connected with fear, insecurity, financial problems, living problems, everyday challenges as problems, let it go. Allow yourself to just breathe it out. We'll always wait for you if you want, but you do not need it right now. Let it go. If you can let it go for good, just let it go. And we'll go up in your orange center. We open that energy wide. And we let go of all the hurt little child. If anything that comes from the childhood, that you were not loved enough, that you were not taken properly care of, that you felt you were alone, or that you felt that you were even born in the wrong time, to the wrong family, and the aliens just left you here. Let it go. Allow yourself to accept yourself the way you are, and everything is perfect at the moment. Go up in your yellow center, open it wide, beautiful yellow chakra, vibrating wide. Let go of your grown-up fears. Let go of feeling what the people will think about you. Let go of all your expectations of what you should be based on the society or needs and wants of your family, friends. Let it go. Allow yourself to be yourself, your beautiful, divine being living in this body. I will go into heart, we open it wide, beautiful green center, open wide. Let go of all the sad emotions. Let go of all the feelings that you have not been loved the way as you needed or wanted. Let go of these feelings that you have not given the love as somebody needed or wanted. Allow, let it go. Go in your throat, open it up wide and wide and wide. And let go of all the time when you could not speak from your heart, when you could not speak the truth, when you had to sit there and be quiet, or when you were speaking too much and you didn't want it to. Let it all go. Doesn't matter. Allow yourself to feel free. Sianantia kia kalata. Ela sianam kia nalasa. Let that energy rise within you. Sianantia kia ka. In your mind, let go of all your stress, all the chaos, all the to-do lists that you have in your mind. Allow your creativity and allow your intuition grow out there. And go in your top of your head, 7th chakra, beautiful violet center. Let go of feeling betrayed. Let go of feeling that you cannot trust yourself, people, God. Let it all go. Allow yourself to be in a complete unity with this energy. Now take a deep breath and breathe it all out. Sionom tia ka leana tia tia san. Ela enia kom tia na la san. Ala siunia kia ka lato. Ala sa nia kia ka lea son tia nata. Now imagine that there's a door in front of you. It's going to be a portal in our time traveling experience. Now, before you open this door, just feel this unconditional love vibrating from this place. It is such a love that you will have for a little child, perhaps, or for anything that you can imagine. You can imagine that there's a mom and dad, Father the universe, Mother the earth, who hold you, who swaddle you as a baby, make you feel safe and loved. That at this moment, you are the most celebrated being up there who is loved so unconditionally. Take this feeling within you and we're going to open our door. Because what we're going to see behind these doors, we will perceive with the unconditional love. So we can accept whatever had ever happened, forgive yourself and the others, and feel ourselves with the unconditional love. Because love has power to heal all wounds and will be projected in your future. So let's open the door. We're gonna click our fingers above the head, as above, so below, by your feet, as on left, so on right. And you're gonna step through this door in this beautiful field of the unconditional love. And we're gonna close the door behind us because we don't want any other energy coming with us. And here we are in our ancient Atlantean classroom. You can slowly open your eyes. You can keep them closed, whatever is comfortable for you. And let's share the stories. So the first story, our first soul wound, comes from the ancient Atlantis. As I said, we're going to talk about 3 of them. The second one will be from the time of the Essenes, the life around the Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalena. And the third one comes from the witch trials, somewhere between 12th to 16th century. So the first we start in the Atlantis. As a beautiful beings from the universe, we arrived to the place that we call today Atlantis. Some of us have been here since the Lemuria, and some of them arrive at this magnificent place because they heard the stories all across the galaxy. What an amazing place this blue planet is. You can come there and you can acquire this physical body. You can feel like a plant or the tree or the rock or the animal. You can experience these physical feelings that heighten it, and you can experience duality. You can experience dark energy and you can experience light energy, and everything's so intense. The taste of the food is intense. The sense of the smell is much more intense. The romantic relationship between the man or the woman, or let's say the same sexes, it doesn't really matter. It is more intense, and the feelings you receive are like out of something that we knew. And so it was decided that the Atlantis became an extraterrestrial territory, with the experiment of how does it really feel to leave this realm of the third dimensional energy. Back then, Pleiadians and the other benevolent star nation were still looking on how this God really works, how this oneness really works. How do we get to the door of this amazing energy? How does it really work? And they really wanted to understand this emotional kind of the feeling. So the earth was the perfect place for this. And they were not much different than we are today. Of course, we are talking about thousands of years back. And so while they were living on the earth, extraterrestrial bodies, even though they were physical bodies, were not really compatible with the energies of the earth. In the same way, like we are not compatible with the energies of the environment of the Mars. And so they invited these genetic engineers and doctors and scientists, the best of the best, because of course they were way ahead of our time that we are here. And they said, okay, guys, what can we do here that our body don't get sick and we don't have to always use these rejuvenating temples, which are fabulous, but there's more and more of us, and just to build this gazillion of the rejuvenating temples doesn't really make sense. Or constantly flying to the Mars to rejuvenate Mars was one of the big rejuvenating places, believe or not, when it was a beautiful and thriving planet. So these genetic engineers were, working for a while, and they came up with a spectacular idea. They says, well, if we take some of this animal DNA and we merge it with our extraterrestrial DNA, we will create an anchor for the soul. Because soul naturally wanted to go up to the God's realm, right? It didn't want to stay here on the earth. That's why the body wasn't really thriving. Plus, our, let's say, the air wasn't good for the lungs, or the food wasn't good for the immune system of the body, or maybe the immune system totally didn't work in this realm, which I'm speculating about. And so they came up with this amazing idea, and they says, okay. So they found, they started to experiment with the animals like the birds, dogs, let's say, a lion. And I mean, you can name quite a few of them. And when naming this animal, I want you to look into Egypt and the Egyptians' beautiful pictures right on the wall. And you look at these gods when they have a half head of the animals and the another head of the beautiful body. And you wonder, did they really walk like that? Because we have these visions and the meditations, and they kind of look like pretty cool, good-looking people. They left us the clues because later on realized that this went terribly wrong. So they tried to left us the clues, something that our eyes will perceive, because eyes are doorway into the soul that we're gonna get, that we're gonna understand without any kind of the words of speaking, because there was a good chance that the languages get scrambled and confused, right? That's where we are living today. So you look into the Egypt and you see which of these gods, goddesses you feel very much drawn to. And that will kind of give you a clue of which kind of the original DNA you have taken. So for example, I feel very drawn to the Master Thoth, which would be the bird DNA, right? And my second one would be the goddess Sekhmet, which would be the lioness DNA. Now, we have created something that Pleiadians call the surrogate god crystal. Whenever it is the one crystal that we all healers somehow feel drawn to in the Atlantis, whenever we know each other or not, we talk about this big crystal of the Atlantis, and we never even met each other, and we're reading our own papers or the books or listening out. We're like, yeah, I remember the crystal, but what the heck was the crystal? Or if it is all connected with a crystalline grid, doesn't really matter. The point is that we have coded our DNA into the crystal. Crystal can work like a computer, literally. Like we know that the right crystal chips are all in the computer. It has such sophisticated memories and abilities which we are still not capable to understand, even I would say on the high sophisticated research level of somebody who would study it, I mean professionally, not just somebody who would channel this. That's what Pleiadians share with me. And so we create this, let's call it a DNA bank, like the sperm and the egg bank, where we anchor our energy and genetically modified our bodies with it, so we can easily live in the realm of the earth. That if we want to be here for thousands of years, we're going to be here for thousands of years, and we're going to be healthy and good. Now, this did not leave us any soul wound yet, but it is needed for this original story. Now, I talk about the ego. I talk about it for a long time, read a lot of books, try to get as much channeling on it as I can, and as the time goes, the more information usually comes. And the ego literally was that part of the shadow, of the darkness. The counterpart wasn't meant to be the darkness, I think. That was anchored there in that crystal. It suddenly became like a part of the magnet. Imagine that the soul has the positive magnet, the ego would be somebody who would have a negative magnet, and they would meet together for each incarnation. Each carry their own information how to survive. That's why we still have ego with us. And first when we started to learning about spirituality, we go into this, let go of the ego, totally, don't need it, and so much on, we're gonna overcome it, and so so much on, and I have been there as well. And then you come to it, nobody really succeed to get rid of the ego, but we can transform the ego. We can teach the ego. So the deal is that every lifetime you meet your same ego with the same soul in the different kind of the bodies. Ego has this download of everything that happened to you, all your past lives, time until when you anchor your energy in that crystal, in that God surrogate crystal. However, the ego is not capable to remember it every lifetime. Ego is the one who has to literally walk through this river of the forgetfulness. We always think it's so, and I still, the soul probably walk that part of it as well. Let's say they both walk part of it, but the soul is much more able to remember all the things and remind the ego, this is what we have done, this is where we were, awaken, let's heal, let's, come with me to be back the planetary beings. I want to collect that missing part of myself and take it back home. Because ego can definitely connect with the higher realms, because ego is your intelligent part of you. It's your mind. It is where you need it to be able to bring all magnificent and intelligent things into the life. Let's say the Steve Jobs, Albert Einstein, they would be, meditating, but they would be connecting to this universal mind to connect with all this energy and bring it back in. They had to work with their ego. However, you have to understand your ego to have a beautiful life alongside with it. Not that it's going to bite you back because it wants to protect you. And your ego is going to protect you by any means, even if it means to give you some horrible illness or the problems that you will not progress anymore, because again, its job is to help you survive. We have created this energy in the surrogate crystal to help us to survive. That was the original part of it. Let's say that we decided this is going to be for 2,000 years or 500 years. How I'm going to be here for one lifetime, so it's going to be here plus minus 1,000 years from me. We believe we can back engineer it, discover that energy, collect it back and go back there. Imagine like a golden sphere of light. You put it up there in the crystalline grid. You believe you're going to go down there, pick up the crystalline, part of you, put it back in and go back home. Well, there come your first soul wound. It came to the destruction. About 6,000 years prior, end of the Atlantis, Master Todd started to receiving this channel information that there's going to be a destruction of the Atlantis. And then you wonder, okay, so this has been the highly sophisticated community, right, of the living people. There were actually several Atlantis around the earth. We see the Atlantis as, let's say, the city or the island. There was not only one, there were several of them. And we all call it Atlantis. And they were highly sophisticated. They had artificial intelligence. There was a shield, like a solar shield around the earth, which would be protecting all invasive parts coming down here. We became spoiled by the technology. Not much different. We have a phone today, and I'm very guilty of this. I don't remember the phone numbers on my list. If I would have to call my husband, I would go like, oh my God, I really have to remember his phone number. We get spoiled. We push the button, we push the picture now, and it's going to make a phone call by itself. And so they had even much more sophisticated technology than now. So this is where the split kind of came. They didn't believe something like that happened. What animal DNA also did, it dents the consciousness of the beings. So depending on what kind of the animal genetically modified, I don't want to say the particles, how much you took in, that also affected your consciousness and your connection with the oneness. So some took more heavy or more dense DNA, or maybe much more, so their body can be more dense, and they slowly forgot about this connection with the oneness and God, and what is it up there that we want to return back home. And they kind of enjoy this technology, life, luxury. It's like, whoa, something that we can possibly dream about, yet it will turn against us if it's completely happened like that. Now, those with a lighter kind of the DNA, they were cultivating their abilities. Yeah, they got a little bit spoiled as well, but they would be cultivating their abilities, connect with the oneness, do the channeling and do the, initiations and the energy work and so much on. So this is what we call the split between the path of the light and the path of the dark. So the path of the light, we would say, were those who stood connected, and the path of the dark took those who were like, technology, let's dig the gold to put it on the other planet that we need for another shield. Oh, let's make some human slaves, because why should we be working? They can do it. And we were reconnecting, those, I would call us we, because I do believe who decided to listen, this was on the path of the light. Even if anybody, who will listen this later and decided was like, oops, I have been on the path of the dark. Am I a bad being? Absolutely not. You were conditioned into something that it took over you, like some kind of the desire. It is not much different that somebody is offered a drug and they fall into the drug addiction. However, once you realize it, then there's a chance to turn it around and put yourself on the path of the light consciously. So that's how it works. Now, really quickly about this DNA yet. I'll help you to understand the animal DNA. So the animal DNA would have, when you look at the animal has a good abilities that they have, and they have a ferocity, right? So let's say the bird, let's say the eagle has a supervision, can fly, right? Everywhere have this navigation system. If they feel that a storm or something bad is coming, they feel where they have to leave. But they also are very lonely animal. They are just like a flock of their family. They will protect their babies, even if they have to kill for them. And so much on, they can be very ferocious and very angry and very vicious. And all that is literally playing within us. It played back then, it's playing now. And that was so new to these beings. They were like, oh my God, where is this coming from? And then kind of like make the other be afraid, get you a little bit more power. So they went totally on the power trip. So 6,000 prior to the end of the Atlantis, when it came to this, there may be a distraction. Now, why there would be a distraction? Why they would not know it? There is something that's called destiny. Destiny is something that we cannot control. We can navigate through it and we can shift the destiny, but we have to go with the flow of it. But if something, let's say on this blue planet, going totally down the hill, the destiny up there, which will be the part of this God's energy, or I even feel it about the God's energy, about this oneness, we have to correct the balance. And it's not really a one man. There's no the council of light to correct the destiny. Even the council of light has to go with the destiny. They have no choice over it. So it was like this feeling, this destiny was saying, heading toward the destruction. If you don't fix it, something bad's gonna happen. And so this group of the path on the light, the children of the law of one, will be going and trying to warn everybody something is happening. And imagine you go and you says, hey, I think there's gonna be a destruction. There can be the meteorite that's gonna hit the earth. All these people who had the shield around the earth, highest the sophisticated artificial intelligence technology, says you must be crazy. Like, we have this artificial intelligence shields, best of the best, the latest model, whatever is out there. Nothing gets off the earth. We're gonna destroy it, I don't know, thousands miles away in the space from the earth. But what happened is, there was a solar flare, a very, very powerful solar flare, which blew up the electric grid. And we put out of the work everything. It is something that nobody knew. Even the tribe, the children of the law of one, didn't know how the destruction will happen. They knew approximate time of the destruction. So as the channeling came, it says, when it's gonna be quiet and let's say all the lights go out, it is time to leave the land, or it's time to go hide in the crystal cities, on the Shambhalas, how we call them today. It is time to leave and find a secure place to hide. And that's what happened. Suddenly, there was no electricity. There was nothing that was working, powering this, when the solar panels were not working. And because that little part that you needed for it to work, they didn't have a power. And then the meteorite hit. That was the first kind of the things. Of course, they tried to revive the technology. There was the chaos and so much on. And it led into this self-destruction. So those children on the law of one survived and they moved. The first, let's say the headquarters was in the Egypt. And then from the Egypt, they, created families all around the world. There were like several main families all around the world. What is important here from now is the destruction. That is your first soul wound. That is what stabs you there and says, I failed. And this goes for everybody when I'm reading. This goes for on the path of the light, on path of the dark. We hold this collective energy of the failure and we beating ourselves over it over the thousands of years. And it's time to let it go. We have all failed. We all failed the time when we were sitting somewhere in the Pleiades and we were planning to go on this mission Earth. Yet we decided that's going to be a great idea. Everyone makes mistakes. We make mistakes. We are not, again, much different than we are here today. When you make a mistake, you acknowledge it and you redeem yourself. You start to do good things and, help because past is repeating. That's why we are doing this soul wound. So we are heading into the highest sophisticated time of our days. We know that the artificial intelligence most likely will be the part of our lives. However, it can be done from heart, not only from mind. It can be led by the soul, not by the ego. That's when you take your ego and you go down into the shadow and you says, hey, my handsome ego. And for the guys, I says, if you want to imagine that it's the girl and you do, as a soul, the man, or whichever you imagine, doesn't really matter. But you take that part of you and it says, come out of the hiding, please. I understand it wasn't your fault. It was a collective fault. And the only thing you can do for is to accept it, is to forgive yourself. Because it's not helping anybody to be beating yourself up. Lifetime, a lifetime and a lifetime, holding with you this burden and carry it with you for over and over and over the time. Until, we are living in the 2019 and we're still carrying these things. We cannot awaken to our abilities because we go, oh, that time in the Atlantis when we destroyed everything. Oh my God, if I remember my abilities, I probably gonna destroy this world again. Absolutely not. Think about it. We have to start inventing from heart. Every amazing inventor and great brain who stood out in our history and today's days live in Atlantis. Where do you think that Elon Musk came, whenever he knows it or not? From the Atlantis. And that's the living one who's like, hopefully get our humanity on the Mars. And I do only hope that one day they don't sit there on the Mars and says, oh, remember when we genetically modify our body to be here? Like thousands of years from now. And they says, we heard about this Atlantis, something like that happened there. Hopefully we can learn from our mistakes. And we don't know how to do it, but we know that those great ideas will come because as we're moving in the time, they are coming. Now it comes to the little, should we call ourselves the little people? No, we are the big people. We are the big beings in these bodies. We're coming with the knowledge, inspirations to help all these people to gain their knowledge. We are a piece of the puzzle, one to another. We are not only the one person who's going to know it all. Doesn't matter how famous and great and brilliant you are. You need the other. Same like we needed each other there. We need each other here to really put these pieces back together. So again, comes with acceptance, forgiveness, and love. Once you let this go and you says, okay, well, I'm still here and continued here. Whenever I was on the path of the light or path of the dark, I, had this need to stay here. And I'm in this lifetime, or right now, I'm on the path of the light. I'm trying my good. That means that, you know, I have something to contribute to society, right? To the humanity, to be in a service. So let's do it, and let's help us to remember to what we did in Atlantis. I mean, the good things, the healing, the technology, the way of life, community, and so much on before we started to fight. If you think of it, before it all blew up, we actually got along, even the light and the dark, you know, we mind our own business, day-to-day thing, we do our thing. I mean, we're a little bit ignorant, yeah, but we got along. We didn't really had a big fights until after, when it was fights for the resources. I mean, the communication between the Earth and the other planetary system has been destroyed. The main airport or star station, let's say, that we would be porting between the Earth and the other planets on the Mars has been destroyed. The planet Maldek has been destroyed. We stood stuck on the Earth and we had to survive. We could not teleport by our own will somewhere to the Pleiades or the Sirius. That I don't believe it's true. But we knew how to cultivate our ability to create the, let's say, transmitting radio out of our nervous system. We were cool like that. But of course, some of them, you know, forgot, because the life of the luxury makes you kind of deteriorate a little bit, right? Now, fast forward, we move into the Egypt. So in the Egypt, we suddenly realize, whoops, there's a humanity growing in the Samaria. A few, you know, kind the beings move into the Mesopotamia, created the ancient Samaria, created the human slaves that they grew out of the control. And then you look and it was like, oh my God, there are little Evas running around, and little Katies, and little Dianas, and little Debbies, and you guys add your name. And you says, where did they came from? They look at us. And then you have learned that these so-called Anunnakis have stolen the DNA from the surrogate God crystal. They went to your DNA bank, took the material, and upgraded the primates and created the human slaves. And you go like, oh my God, this is mess. Why we didn't know it? Well, life was really good for us. We had our rejuvenating temples, and we had the crystals, and we had fairies, and we had all that stuff. You know, we do live a good life. And so not everything was that great after. Now, those, I do read for a lot of people who were part of the Samaria. Now, as you know, I always say there are good people, there are bad people, there are good aliens, there are bad aliens. We're not going to point out a finger that those are benevolent and those are malevolent and so much on. We kind of look at it and we say, okay, it's a way of the life. There lives good, there lives bad. We live in the place of the duality. You have to have it here. So even in the Mesopotamia, they came those who had a really great intention for everybody. And they have those who kind of have like, whoa, I'm going to be the king up here, and I'm going to get this little bit for myself. This is really cool. You know, I don't have to answer to the Council of the Light because, hey, they are not controlling us here. I can like own this place and the gold and the everything. And so the story goes, there was an Enki and Enlil, right? The Enki would be the positive one, the Enlil would be the negative one. Now, while I'm bringing Samaria, I do read for a lot of people who have been scientists, who have been these genetic engineers, who helped to create a human race. And these people hold the most of the guilt because they were betrayed in believing that this has been an approved project. It has not been an approved project. That's why this divine energy tried to cleanse to humanity quite several times, because when we came originally in the Atlantis, we were allowed to you know, have our fun and do our experiments. We were not allowed to mingle with the natural growth of this planet, which would include the animals as well. Primates were supposed to grow in their own pace, you know, and they what you would say, we fasten it up. They grow, you know, would you call it, the mental growth, spiritual growth, like, you know, we skipped the few things for them. So they didn't really develop the way how they were meant to or supposed to. We never will know. And so there were a lot of people who were tricked into the beings, who were really, really tricked into creating them, who believe that they are doing the greatest things. Now you look at them and says, how you didn't know? Now, how much it is different that we have our scientists today in the lab and they experience on the rat, on mice, which, you know, is acceptable. I know it can be questionable, but let's just go with it that is acceptable. If they, you know, coming up with some cancer for the cure, it's probably better to do it on these mice than on the humans, right? And that's how they felt. They were like, okay, no, this is okay. I know it may sound a little different, but it was, you know, it was kind of exciting for them as well, because you give the scientists something that they can work on. You know, if you think of it, their mind was way more evolved, and the empathy wasn't as strong as it is today. Now, so if you live in the Mesopotamia, again, forgive yourself. If you have been betrayed in believing you're doing the greatest things, forgive yourself and forgive the others. There's no grudges get you anywhere, absolutely anywhere. Now we're gonna move ourselves very, very fast. I know I talk a lot because I so much enjoy this. I hope you guys enjoying it as well. You know, in the Egypt, we started to create the mystery schools for the reason that we will allow these human beings, our babies literally, gain the knowledge so they can eventually be planetary beings, that they can graduate into planetary beings. Now we'll go into separating our extraterrestrial memories and our human memories. So sometime until time about a biblical time of the big flood, or the fallen tower of the Babylon, we would come here and we would live, you know, in these extraterrestrial bodies, and we figured out how to live among the humans. We had a few wars among us as the extraterrestrials because we were fighting for the territories and the resources and so much on, before all the communication and transportation has been completely restored again. It's suddenly, you know, we were from this cool life into survival life. So there can be several lives that you have, you know, when suddenly you were betrayed by your friend alien, that, you know, suddenly life really changed. And think of this trauma that you know, have been at the time in the Atlantis, and your beautiful husband of the wife went on the trip to the Pleiades. It's like, you know, today you are living here and your family goes to the trip to the Europe, and something happened and we cannot travel between the Europe and America for hundreds of years, and you have no way to communicate. You are heartbroken and you may have the resentment toward the place, yet you need to make the best out of it because you are here. And of course, you know, we didn't have all these cool genetic engineers or the scientists to back revise our ego that we dropped down there in the crystal. So that's how we became, you know, stuck here on the earth. We had a chance to leave though. So in that Babylonian time, and, you know, leading into the big flood, Council of Light, plus minus, you know, it wasn't in one day, figured out, says, oh, this is humanity, this is not good, like, this is really dangerous. And they says, okay, you know, we cannot really bring them here. It's like, forgive me to say this, but I hear this from the Pleiadians, and I always say it as a, you know, amplify example, really amplify example. You are not going to take a wild tiger from the jungle in your living room because it may harm you, right? That's how the humans literally were back then. Even some are today. If you would take some of them into Pleiades, they will start the revolution and try to reorganize the place in their own way, or try to own the place and build up their own real estate there and whatsoever. You know, it doesn't matter how we will, you know, imagine it. So the best way was to destroy them. Now, those on the path of the light, the children of the law one, were really begging for them, or we're really, delegating for these humanities as well. It's not fair for them, they have a families, they have a life, and well, we fall in love with few of them and had a babies with them, and that's how this, what we call this demigods were born, and this whole story about the giants and so much on, which we will not go into today. And so we secure their rights, that if they, will follow up with the destiny, will grow and spiritually grow, eventually they can be on this path of light and be on this, planetary ascension journey, let's call it. Now we have decided to stay here. Now, one of the big things what Pleiadians once told me, actually long ago, was quite shocking to me. And they says, you didn't have to stay there, because we always go, we stood here and we volunteer, we were asked to. And they says, well, did you even ask to humans if they want to help? You have decided to stay here and help. And I was like, oh, you want to kind of hear it a little bit better. But that's true. It was our choice. We look at them and we says, well, maybe if we stay here as a teachers, they have a better chance. So we did it out of the heart, out of this beauty and so much on, to stay here and teach them and become one of them eventually. And that's how we became the humans. So the deal was eventually that after the big flood, no gods will walk into human body. And for us to be here, we would have to compose our energy into these human bodies, of course, looking different in each lifetime. But that would also mean we need to take a significant time to regain our abilities, to remember who we are and so much on. We had to start following up the rules of the incarnation, which has been extremely painful. So all this what I talk about, literally goes in your first main soul wound. Maybe there has been several lifetimes of it, but there's definitely something. One of the coolest things that we have done since the Atlantis, we started to keep records. We says, oh my, we're gonna get stuck here. Let's write the books, let's keep the records, let's record it into the crystals and the crystalline grid. Let's keep passing it through the generation. So if it happened, and in 2019, we are still here, totally joking here, right, about it, but we are still here, that we somehow will remember who we are, and we're gonna find this way back and finally go home, because we all want to go home. It's been a long time on this beautiful blue planet, but we miss our home. And so we were really cool at that. Through the Atlantis, records been pushed into the Egypt, right? In the Egypt, everything has been documented and secretly started hidden in the children of the Law of One and pushed down through the generations, through the families, and the down through the generations. So, and there somebody this race for the power began, but the dark side says, hey, if we ruin them record and they don't remember who they are, we have a power here. We can control them. We kind of can be the kings on this blue planet. Forget about the Council of Light. We can be the kings here. And again, we live in the duality. We have to kind of like balance it. So after the flood, you came to this human body. It was difficult. We had no idea what we are putting ourselves into. There was so much of malfunctions in the beginning. We tried to bring our soul consciousness in. It fried up the nervous system. Your nervous system is the biggest secret. I always talk about it. That is your antenna. That is your receiver and transmitter of all your abilities. You have a strong nervous system. It's easy for you to work on your psychic abilities, because it's a little challenging to get it, but that's what it is. But slowly, keeping up the records, tweaking the things, recording everything that we could. We master it. We kind of follow this, how in the Egypt, right? How the soul goes from the one body into another body. How we, where does it go? That it doesn't get lost, that it goes to the good place, that it doesn't get stuck by the evil spirits and so much on. Like we quiet mastered it, if you think of it. Now, through these generations, another big time that we had, of course there were several times, but the one that stood out in the history is the Essene Time. So those who don't know who the Essenes were the people, the human people, beings who incarnated into the human bodies, who worked toward the preparation of the birth of the Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalena. What I talk about Essenes has nothing to do with the modern Bible or the Bible that we read and so much on. It is just a story of the ancient Atlantean beings who eventually shortened out their lifespan into 60, 80, maximum 100 years, and was pushing this information forward and forward and forward, and figuring out how we will teach humanity to raise from the fears, embrace unconditional love, and go home where we all belong. Stop fighting these stupid wars. Stop fighting all this, between each other. Stop fighting for the power. Stop being afraid of everything. Stop having this greed and unhealthy, human desire. Of course, there are good human desire, but there's a lot of unhealthy ones as well. And by our desires, we are controlled by what Anunnaki came up with, right? So they can control us. So these Essenes, now, this is just my feeling. I don't really have a backup research for this. About 400 or 500 years before, they kind of like, the souls were incarnating in one time, and they started to collecting this knowledge. Now, I'm pretty convinced that Pharaoh Akhenaten, how I pronounce it right, has been the part of this family who would be moving the information forward, where the Essenes talk, of course they pass it on somebody else until it come about, let's say, plus minus 500 years before the counting to the group that would eventually call themselves Essenes. And they started to work really hard as a group of dedicated souls, how to overcome these human desires, how to overcome the animal within you, because this body is made out of the animal, and it's a heavy primate animal. It's not just a cute little bird that's flying around, it's a primate. And of course, we still have these memories of what we, have that in the DNA up there, and DNA from the universe and so much on. And so we have to, and what I want to say is this body that is designed, that we come into, it's controlled by fear. It is born into the fears, to be fear of everything. Now think of it, when the baby is born, it goes cute and sweet and he's not really afraid, but we condition it right from whenever it can crawl. Don't touch this, don't touch that. I mean, I'm guilty of that too. I have 2 kids and they go like, oh my God, how am I going to protect them? What am I going to do? We are literally activating the ego who goes, oh my God, here you are again. I'm having a headache. Don't you remember how many times you've been here since the Atlantis? And here we go again. I have to protect you again. Is this going to be a nightmare, or is this going to be kind of a cool life when you will not awaken? And this lifetime is a nightmare for your ego, because we have decided to awaken, but we need to make an ego our friend. So the Essene Time, why this is your main soul wound, the second one. So the preparation study was beautiful and great. Some of these people worked so hard that they mastered cellular rejuvenation, which means that they could stay in the physical body for longer than one lifetime. So let's say they could be there for 500, 600 years. The only reason to be a physical immortal would be to push the information forward, to write the books, to rewrite the scripts. Like I would say almost every one of the Essenes at some point of their life would be rewriting the scriptures and the books. So we have a copies. If something get burned, confiscated, lost, we have another one that we can push out with our families again into the future, because we believe in the new earth. Back then, the Essenes have these visions of the new earth, what we're having today. And gosh, that was 2,000 years ago. Let's go 2,500 years ago. And we are still here, and it's still not really accomplished in the way that they saw it. And they also believe, oh my God, it must happen in our lifetime, right? But what they did was spectacular. And most important, for our turn to build up into 2012. Now, so they prepare a lot of teaching and initiation, so much on, and suddenly the Son of God came, right? To Jesus Christ, whichever way you're gonna call him. Plain and says that Jesus Christ is the Planian being. I believe that Mary Magdalene is the Syrian being. I mean, they are the gods walking within the body, but they have to follow the same role as you and I do. They have to come into the body. They have to learn about all these animal desires. Actually, until about the age of the 7 with Mary Magdalene, I believe it was until 12, they live a normal life, a child creative life. I mean, but they influence, taught more different languages and the things, yes. But they also did the house chores, take care of the animals, take care of the other children. Their creativity was nurtured within, and their feeling and the senses of the safety, so they can work with that human ego, was taken care of. These people, let's say Jesus Christ and Mary Magdalene, didn't have to work in their life like we do, to have a job, to pay for our bills and our apartment and our car and save the money. They were provided by the community, and the community lived together. So they could really plunge themselves into all these initiations and teaching and mastering their bodies and connecting with everything that there is. At the time of the Jesus Christ crucifixion and then resurrection, what happened is he was crucified for the 3 days, right? They knew that it's going to happen. I can't believe, I can't believe, but it just doesn't resonate with me energy. So you found your own truth. But I don't believe that was planned. I don't believe that was the original plan. The original plan was probably very, very different, from the destiny, but there was just not really working. So perhaps the crucifixion and showing everybody the levels of the unconditional love was the much more stronger than for him, the living. I do believe that he survived and lived on and had children, quite a few of them. However, again, the crucifixion had happened, right? In those 3 days, the Essenes were not trained. They were not mourning and distress and angry. They hold the level of the unconditional love for the humanity, for the Christ, for everybody out there. They were sending it inside of the earth. They were programming this crystalline grid within the earth, and the crystalline grid amplified all around. Okay, then the 3 days, the drama was over. They brought him into the cave. Everybody believed he was dead. He wasn't. He just stilled his signs, and he did resurrect that. However, he did resurrect that in his light body, in his shimmering body, the shining one body, which there are stories from the Atlantis. He came back to his extraterrestrial body, and maybe because he went through, there's our speculations, right? Maybe because he went through so much of suffering and really manifested the suffering for everybody. Maybe the Council of Light allowed him to walk among the humans in his extraterrestrial body after that. Maybe he's the only one who earned it, that who could physically do that. I mean, that, we can speculate about. Now, here come our, before that, I always wondered why we do have a year one. Why did we counting a year after counting, or after the Christ, right? Of course, there's a pretty good logical explanation about the calendars, but we had no internet, we had no TV, we had no phone, and it linked around. It means that the grid suddenly said, change. Let's embrace the unconditional love. Let's make a change. Let's mark it as a change. And that's what really have happened, because now we all go up the year one. There we are. And until that time, we were okay, perhaps let's say that we worked through our soul wounds in the Atlantis, today we're just mirroring it again, but then came the new one. After that, the hiding began. Before, let's say, the birth of the Christ, they were kind of, just sect, the group of the people who did all the things. But once the Christ and Mary Magdalene and their disciples, right, started to talking and teaching people, this when the dark side would go, oh, wait a minute, halt you horses. Here you are, the children of the law of one. We remember you. Oh, you survived since the Atlantis. You were kind of quiet, right? You didn't really bother to raise up. You were kind of like pushing it off, under the table, and now you are out. This is not happening on our count. So they came to the end, and suddenly they've been hunted like wild animals. So these people really live with love in their heart, believe in everything, and so much on. And suddenly they became on this, on the most wanted list, and they had to start hiding, and they cannot openly practice and teach the people, that they don't have to be afraid, that if they want to do healing on the Sunday, they can do the healing on Sunday. That you are in the church of your own body. You don't have to listen to the others. What did Jesus Christ teach us? That if you want to heal yourself, you heal yourself. That you have everything within you to change your life. His biggest teaching wasn't that you come to him for the healing, he touch you, are you healed. He would teach you how you overcome your emotions, your desires, your animal within you. So you can do it to yourself. They taught a way of life. Now, for these shining ones or enlightened ones that we have documented from the history, from the Peru, Southern America, or India, or the Himalayas, or the Siberia, in the New Zealand and Australia, what do they teach? They teach the people a way of life, how you are treating one another, how to grow the food so you are not hungry. As my grandmother always says, who went through the 2 world wars, says, if people have a food in their stomach, they don't want to fight. The hungry people go and fight and kill each other. So they were teaching them about agriculture, about healthy body, about the healing. They didn't teach them how to go fight, how to go steal, how to have a bigger territory than they have. They helped them to find a fertile soil and settle down and thrive. That's what Essene community taught. How to thrive as a family. Now, suddenly, we all understood what had to happen, and we became heartbroken after that because we have to start hiding. And imagine that Mary Magdalena and Jesus Christ, the family eventually moved to the France and down to the, spread out into the Britain, like the Avalon and so much of Glastonbury, Scotland, in the beginning of days, the first 50 years after. And they had to hide. The child of the Jesus Christ couldn't go out there and proudly walk with a daddy, with a hand. Of course, his children were explained and were taught by this beautiful family. But as a child, suddenly, we all come to these human bodies. You suddenly feel this feeling of abandonment. Why it is? Why they have to be like that? My dad is the most amazing person living on this earth. Why people hate him? And then, of course, the other and other and other. Why suddenly this dark side came up with these churches? And, as the time went on, there was like, holy mackerel, what are we gonna do? This Jesus Christ, the story is very powerful. Well, let's use the part of it for ourselves as well. So we're gonna control you with it. He died for your sins because you've been so bad. Come on. Or, if you are not believing this is not gonna be, only Jesus Christ can heal, nobody else. And gosh, I didn't even bear any part of the religions or so much on. And I don't really want to say the bad things about them because, there are some really good groups today, but there are also those who use the name of the God and the Christ to instill the fear in the humanity, because fear will keep you under control. Whoever gives you the fear can easily control you. And that's where the second heartbreak came. The betrayal of all of this, how it happened. This is where you most likely also felt betrayed by God. When you, were doing this in this like universal love, and again, to God is the oneness, is like the guidance from there. And says, why do you guide it to us? Don't you see how it broke our heart? Don't you see how horrible this has become? How we have to hide and eventually spread all over to Europe and other places so they don't find us? And that was a hard time. That was hard life. And it was just something that was meant to happen. There was a definitely guidance for it, and it was to show, I would say, in those days, in such darkness, that, you know, there were the dark days, very dark times, something the most probably tragical had to happen that really awakened the humanity, that go like, oh my God, you know, like what it is. The shock to the nervous system helps you to awaken you. And that's where the true awakening of humanity happened 2000 years ago, plus minus. And that unconditional love from the earth strive everybody and suddenly says, Christ doesn't hate you. You know, there may be some those who says, yeah, he deserves it. Just do it, you know, and somebody heard the story because we can manipulate each other quite beautifully. Yeah, it's okay, you know, this. And suddenly there was this love coming to everybody. Despite if you wish good, you wish bad, there was this love. And, you know, they go like, oh my God, some people are not able to perceive or allow themselves to feel the love. Yet there was a love. The core group of the Essenes hold themselves in this unconditional love as much as they could, and they preserve again the documents, informations, the books, and so much on and so much on and so much on down the story. Of course, Bibles have been rewritten to control the humanity. I mean, we all know this. However, about 2 weeks ago, I have came about the book that's called The Colbrain, which is actually a book of the old scriptures, which has been brought, I believe, in the World War II by the sea merchant into the New Zealand, given to somebody up there who published it in the 1996. I'm actually going to send you the links for it. It's a rather interesting book. I'm on the page about 170 currently at this class, but it is a very interesting book with this true teaching, with this saying, okay, you know, the God doesn't want you to kill the animal and give it there for the offering. Like, God doesn't need it. God doesn't have the need for it. But if you really have to kill that animal, then feed the hungry people with it. That is the way of what the God would want to do. That is the servants of the God, or those who are in the service to humanity. That's how you serve that higher purpose and the destiny. That instead of that giving this food and nobody's going to ever touch it because the Almighty is going to go, you know, look at it, because you know it's not going to eat it. If you give it to there where it belongs to the people who are hungry, that's how you serve the God and the humanity. And this is just one little example. So from the Essene Times, the fast forward, you need to have this talk with God and says, okay, we really felt betrayed because we felt like this is the step into this new age, into this glorious way. We didn't know we're setting up this energy for the global awakening in 2012, that we just needed to really energize the grid and make sure that this Egyptian and the Atlantean teaching is passed forward into the, you know, is pushed into the future. That's what it was. Now, so you need to forgive humanity that sometimes they are very barbaric, and they have been through all the history, that they are manipulated, that they are, you know, not conscious sometimes. I don't say all of them, but those who are just not conscious can be very barbaric and very greedy, very self-centered, and they harm the good people that should never be harmed before. And you need to forgive them. And you need to forgive yourself, whatever grudge you are holding. Then you need to sit there with the God and says, okay, let's have a good talk, because I don't feel supported for the past 2000 years. Like, how could you do this to us? Then you probably get a really good cry and you get this feeling of the connection. You will know when you really connect with that realm, with that energy, when you let it go, when you probably will experience a huge anger prior that, very huge frustration. Then you allow yourself to do it and talk like this person, like make the God a person that he hears you right there. Let it all out. And then allow for the healing to come. You will feel it. You don't need to be guided through this. I also allow, if you resonate with the Essene time, I usually attract the people who have living in the Essene times. Allow yourself to believe that you live in that. ancient Essenes are the ancient Egyptians. Ancient Egyptians are the ancient Atlanteans. We are the children of the law of one. And guess what? We are back in this lifetime. It took us 2,000 of years to synchronize our incarnation, come back together, and work on this once again together to make this big bang here on the earth. We are not going to go into crucifixion this time. I'm pretty sure we agreed on that. We says, okay, we're going to split all over the earth. We're going to remember, and we're going to bring the ancient teaching back. We're going to bring the truth back. We don't have to fight in the senseless wars. We have our words. We have our way of the living. We have our the way, how we live, how we act, how we treat one another. And if we speak the truth, if we live the truth, we start remembering much more of this ancient teaching. We can write the books about it. We can teach it. We can put it in everything that we do. We can even put it in this artificial intelligence development that be done right to serve humanity, not to control humanity. And it can be done. They believe in us. That's why they left us all these messages. That's why they says, okay, get over it that the Christ got, killed. Get over it that you got killed many times already, that you had to hide, that you felt betrayed, that you felt this and that. If you think of it, these people, Essenes, they lived through these horrible times, yet they loved everybody. They sensed the unconditional love whenever it was a cat, a dog, a neighbor, or some weird Roman soldier. They would vibrate this level of the unconditional love to everybody. Instead of dwelling in their sorrow and a hopelessness, which they must experience on a very maybe everyday level if they allow it to themselves, because they were humans too. They're chosen to rise in the love, and they says, okay, we're gonna do best out of the worst. We're gonna vibrate this love in our lifetime. They even energize their bones, their skeletons with the unconditional love, and when they buried them inside of the earth, they would be vibrating this energy like a crystals with the unconditional love. So when you come, you remember. So this is your second main soul round, and kind of your beef with God. And the third one would come into the witch trials, which were approximately from the 12th century to about the beginning of the 16th century, plus minus. Now, of course, the family of the, Essenes, right, the children of the law of one, eventually spread all over the Europe, started to hide and live in the little tiny communities, try to be normal. They create a pact with the druids. So a lot of Essene, members married the druids and, started to live a life again that will be in the service to humanity, but that would mean, to push as much of information into the future. Some of them continue with the cellular rejuvenation for the reason to push the information forward, to be literally a walking library, to be a teacher, and so much on. These people became extremely endangered species, if we can call it that way. And the family or the community would be hiding them, would be in the constant fear or constant possible that they're all gonna die if the Romans gonna find them. Of course, those in the right position knew what is going on, and so this became a very secretive operation, let's call it. Now, one greatest things what the Essenes knew is the immaculate conception and the conscious conception, where they would consciously connect with the souls, when the man and the woman, when ready to conceive a baby, whenever it was by the, the sexual contact or not, they would connect with the higher vibrational souls, and they did have a literary agreement, with this, okay, we need these higher vibrational souls, either continue in the incarnation cycle or re-enter the incarnation cycle. Some of them decided by the age of says, hey, we're done, not doing this earth stuff anymore. You probably asked that at least 2 or 3 times through all these lives, and heal all what I'm talking about. And in the end, I tell you why you're still having it now. Now, so they call these higher vibrational souls come back here, says, okay, we do need a help here. The earth is kind of a little bit into trouble. We need to keep the balance of the light and the dark, and we need somebody who's going to be moving the teaching and the way of the life again into the future. So over the time, this Essenes changed the names, how they would be called. There would be the Gnostics, there would be the Cathars, who are almost all killed, there would be the Knight of Templars, there would be eventually the Masons, right? The Masons, and I'm pretty sure you can name a few more that I did not name. But this is just the example how the progression was happening, and the souls try the best to be born into the family of these families again, and they would follow the same routines to awaken the soul, remind you about your ego, release your ego soul wounds, heal your past lives, overcome your fears and the human desires, be in the light and be in the service to humanity. They had a routine, and those who really felt to follow the routine, follow the routine. So somewhere up to, let's say, between the 12th to 16th century, we actually lived these very, very conscious lives in the very dark days. And this is where the witch trials will come. So eventually, these dark beings, let's call them the dark side, the sons of the Belial. It's not like, there's going to be the dark being within the cave, same as we walk in the human body, they walk in the human body. They just wanted to have this control. And they says, oh, well, they are still here, and they are kind of gaining in their momentum a little bit. Like, people were going more to the herbal woman than so-called doctors back then. And because they got more results, and it was probably cheaper as well. And there were these people who didn't want to go to the wars, who just wanted to, have a field and grow the cow and the goat and live a good life, just peaceful life, not a warlike life. And they would be promoting it, right? And so this from the side of the dark says, oh gosh, how are we going to get rid of them? Let's make a plan. Let's make a plan that's going to be so spectacular. Of course, exaggerating here, right? That they will not ever come back again. Like, let's finally zip them and nip them in their soul, and that they will be just shivering up there in the heavens. Someone like that says, not coming, absolutely not coming. So they designed the witch trials. Now, they knew, if you look at the history and it says, okay, so Jesus Christ going through these things, crucify him on this, he kind of resurrected, he went, his spirit or soul went about the body, didn't really experience the pain, and then came back into the body. Seems very difficult, right? But it was doable. So they says, okay, what if these people are trained to it too? So we kind of crucify them and, they die. We don't, really harm them. But, and there comes this slick kind of side. If they're gonna hurt your children, your family, those who you're gonna love, they're gonna shatter your soul into pieces. And you will always remember what your fault it was. And that's what the witch trials were. They were not really going for the people who were the healers and so much on. They were first going for the family. There is so much that is undocumented, I believe, in the history, when they would be killing and raping their children in the front of them, doing the most horrible things in the front of them. And then, of course, one would go crazy from what is happening. And then they would bring you in the, in the public and says, you the witch. I was just recent, I do a lot of this reading from the witch trials. And one of the recent ones really what stood out, there was this woman who, was accused of all of this. And I do believe she may even be hiding, the physical immortal, which she didn't give out. And she had 3 children. Her youngest was in her arms, a little baby. And she was forced to, kind of hide in the horse stable. And she put the baby in the corner, kind of hide it, because she knew they're coming. She knew they're probably going to kill them all, that this is it. So she was hoping that at least her youngest baby will survive. So the baby was in the corner in the hay, and as they came and they really scared horses and were doing all kind of the things, the horse backed up and he stepped on the baby's head and was completely crushed. Now this mother seeing this baby with a crushed head, disbelief, like I hit him and this is what happened. Then there was a boy and a girl who have been raped in the front of her, and it's even hard to talk about it, and killed with pitchforks and so much on, not in a simple one stroke way. Those are the kind of the things they make you witness. Of course, she coming out of there, would be going crazy. It snaps you. It can make you go crazy. You go frantic. Who wouldn't? Doesn't matter what kind of the training you have. You are not able to hold yourself. Peace, love, and unconditional love. It's probably not even capable. We may be capable, but it just wasn't capable. Let's put it that way. I never met anybody who was capable to do that. So they bring these babies, these children on the street, and they're showing it to everybody what this woman have done, how she killed her children because she's a witch. And then they tie her, to the wooden pile, right, that they're gonna put her out, and people start stoning her with the rocks. So she's stoned, she's burned to death, she died. She didn't really die as a stoning, she just suffered through horrible pain. And she died by the fire. Now that leaves within you something that you go, oh my God, I'd rather not ever use my abilities, because in that moment, everything goes through you. Now, some of us were so brave that we decided to come about 2 or 3 lifetimes to these witch trials. It was like, no, it's going to be different. We're going to fix it, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that. What were we thinking? We didn't really fix anything. What we did is eventually, so stop here for a second. If you remember of the witch trials, that you were part of the witch trials, that you were part of the accused to be the witch, then forgive your prosecutors, forgive everybody. These people were also just the people manipulated to be who they were. I read for the people from the both sides, and I'm very grateful for the Pleiadians, bring it this way, because you cannot really hold the judgment what happened, 800 years ago, plus minus, because these prosecutors, I read for the gentleman who have been the prosecutor, and it was either his wife and the child would be accused to be witch trial and up there, or he gonna step out and be the prosecutor. Who would you choose? That's what Pleiadian says. Who would you choose? How could you judge that somebody choose their family to leave and the other family die? Many of them commit to suicide, which again is not that well documented in the history and so much on, because they could not take it. But sometimes, you have to grow into it. You learn to cope. Your cope mechanism, that ego cope mechanism, is to even liking it, because that helps you to survive and not go crazy. So it is understandable, and we need to forgive them. And that's the simple bottom part of it. Now, the witch trials have a little bit more drama up there, because as we're coming back, and of course the families, right, we're going together, and we were already like beautifully blended family with the druids and all the shamans and those who went through the teaching of the Merlin and our beautiful Essene teaching, right? I remember we had information and abilities to reach the energy all the way down to the Atlantis. That was very, very powerful. And as any power goes, as any God has, your power can be creative and can be equally destructive. So eventually, we're starting coming together, and we were saying, okay, what are we gonna do? We are not really gonna have a war with them, because it's not enough of us. We're gonna lose. Of course we tried. These druids were really very skilled in the protecting community, and if that meant to kill, that meant to kill. But we were outnumbered. So we says, we know the magic, we know the energy, we know the dark magic. Let's help us. Now, this is the time when we kind of have that grudge with the God, right? From the end of the Essene Times, and we says, yeah, you don't know what's going on here. You don't really know how horrible it is. Like, I don't really have a time to listen to you. I'm down here. I have to take care of my family, and I don't know what else to do. But I know how to cast this spell that this person go and has a poverty, has a financial problem, that it's sick, that his cow's gonna die. We actually didn't wish anybody death, we wish the people like all kind of the miseries of happening, you know, the nightmares and so much on. What I'm talking about, we started to cast the curses. We were fighting literally fire with fire. They came up with the weapons and taking out away the life. We fought out with our dark energy and the curses as much as we could do. Any energy has a two equal forces, positive and negative, light and dark. It could be used for the healing. It could be used to curse somebody. Now we reached to that out of the most hopeless kind of the stages when we didn't know what else to do. So it was done with a good intention. It was not done like, oh, I'm so bored today, Sunday, and my neighbor has a better car than me. Well, let's me wish him to have a, I don't know, the flat tire just for the heck out of it, so I feel good about myself. That wasn't like that. That was like, oh my God, they killed Molly and they're coming here, and what are we gonna do? I have to protect my kids, and I cannot just keep hiding him from the cave to the cave because they are after us. So it was like, out of the desperate feeling, we came out with this that worked for a while. It worked for a while, and then it didn't work, and it worked for a while, and it didn't work. Because again, we were fighting the fire with fire. It's like, you know, the harmony and destiny says, okay, let's take the turns. The destiny doesn't really, I don't want to say it doesn't care. It doesn't have a champion. It says, find the balance. I'm going to let both of you in if you want, you know, take the turns. You're like, learn from it. And we go here like, oh my God, you know, like, you know, this is my third lifetime here. This is horrible. I don't know, you know, I'm kind of getting crazy. I don't know what's going to happen. My soul is shattering there. By that end of the 15th century, we figured out that this is not working anymore. That we are not winning this war with the darkness. This is where we surrendered. This is when we finally says we are tired, we cannot take this anymore. And we connected with the oneness of God, and we said, what should we do? Now, as Mayans predicted, we are actually in the time of the, I believe it was the 9 hells, which ended by the 2012. So we were not in a supportive energy to bring out the golden age, to bring out our greatness and to teach the people and so much on. And I believe that we were guided by this energy to close our energy down, to take that beautiful, let's say, lotus plan that we have within us, okay, for the power, and make it a little tiny bud and hide it within. And it says, okay, if you're going to close in and hide, you're going to shut down your light. And you're going to survive through some kind of the lifetimes, because we were in the incarnation process. We could not take ourselves from the incarnation process because we had a soul wounds. We didn't know how to really disconnect from that earth crystal, you know, with our ego. We were angry, we were pissed, we were hurting, we were in pain, we wanted the revenge. So we could not really ascend. It was impossible for us. Or for the maybe, you know, the big collective of us, maybe there were a few of them, but there wasn't. So we says, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to close our energy. To close your energy, to really let go of everything, it's almost like cutting your arms and the legs and letting only your, you know, torso and the head and body, you know, to survive and be disabled. That's how bad it was for us. Now we created something that's called a soul symbol. Soul symbol is to remind us of who we are and about all this, let's say the main 3 soul wounds, what we went, and everything about past life that went on. We took the symbol. Everybody has a soul symbol. It may be something that is very significant to you, maybe, you know, something that keep repeating to you in a life that you already will know what it is or will come to you if you set your mind on it in very near future. It can be a geometric shape, it can be color, it can be number, maybe it's a word. I would say there's more kind of the shape or the, usually people that I work with do find some kind of the shape, all kind of the shapes and the colors. And you took this symbol and he says, okay, I'm gonna take my soul knowledge, so nobody will ever force me to misuse it or kill me for it or whatsoever. I'm gonna put it in my soul cave somewhere up here. Now think of the Egyptian having a solar disc about the head up here. That is your soul star chakra, that is your soul cave, that is your solar disc. 3 different words, the same meaning. And you took another one and you hid it inside of the earth with these bones of the Essenes somewhere. You didn't give it to ego because, you know, we don't know what the ego would do with it. And I'm pretty sure we didn't give it to ego. We hid it somewhere inside of the earth. Again, it can be with a crystal, it can be with a tree, it can be the particular place on the earth. It would have some, again, particular significant meaning for you. So you split your energy into pieces so you can find them again. You knew you have to come back here on the earth. We just needed a more favorable time. I see it as this very, very sad story. When we were sitting, you know, by the final decision, let's say we all came in our physical body, in our spirit body, around this beautiful and big bonfire. For the last time, the family got together and we danced and we celebrated and we expressed our love for each other, an unconditional love that we actually hold for this world, the unconditional love that cannot be broken. But how many children they killed, how many times they killed us, how many times they go and do these horrible, horrible things. We have an unconditional love for each other, and we have an unconditional love for this earth. And we do believe that this unconditional love can, by the free will, reach any heart or any soul living on this earth. And eventually the soul says, oh, what is this fuzzy kind of the feeling? That's love? That's not wanting and needs. That's like, it doesn't want anything from me and it's love. So we had this beautiful, beautiful moment together. Then, by the end of our ceremony, we cast our spells to, let's call it, to shade ourselves. We took our symbols, we sent them out there, we disconnected from our energies, we wipe out our memories from the knowledge that we consciously held. It's almost like you would sit around this fire and you would drink the forget potion. And after it was done, we stood up, we looked at each other, we did not recognize each other, and we each walked into different parts of the world. It didn't matter how we died in that lifetime or so much on. The next plus minus 3, 4, for some people 500 years. It didn't matter what kind of the lifetime you had. You could have been a thief, a prostitute. You could have been a soldier. It didn't matter. You could have been somebody great, a pianist, a composer, or so much on. However, why I said you can have been a thief and a prostitute, for example, or the soldier, you know, and doing the horrible things, because you did not remember who you are. You are in the deep state of amnesia that you have cast on yourself. And they all did a pretty good job, I would say, out of it. And we knew that somewhere by the 2012, it's gonna wear off because we agreed in our synchronized incarnation already 2000 years before. Now, what comes out of this lifetime? So you know you need to forgive everybody that harmed you ever before and, you know, send them unconditional love and heal these pieces. I remember when this information started coming for the first time, I did not really want to believe it. I was like, this is absolutely impossible. And then the first time I lit the candles to revoke the curses that I have seen, I could not do it for the first time for the anger I held, for the resentment I had toward those people I remember back then. And I sat with it for the day and I breathed through it and I said, how long I'm going to hold it within me? How long I am going to carry this with me? How many lifetimes until I get over it and not over it, until I heal it, until I send the love there. And then it gets easier. The curses that we have sent, which I would say almost everybody, you know, if you live in the witch trials, whenever you wish somebody bad, you know, your energy amplified, your energy was strong. You didn't even have to conjure anything big by the candles and so much on. Of course, the candles are just a prop. Curses works like a boomerang of the energy that keeps coming back and back and back with you. So not only you are dealing with these 3 main soul wounds, but you are also dealing with this effect, after effect of the curses, which in this lifetime, you know, these people come in your life and they says, please release it. I'm going to do whatever. I'm going to help you. I'm going to be your best friend. Please let it go. They don't say it exactly like that to your face, but you know, you meet these people in your life that you says, well, I may have done something like that, and it is okay. All you do, and I will provide this for you, you know, in an email and or in the links, you know, below this class, eventually where I post it. I will provide you with the revocation that I have shared in the Pleiadian Code, the Great Soul Rescue. The revocation goes in a simple way. Revoke your curse. It's very simple. And now, why do you have to revoke your curse? Because you send it. Simple as that. Nobody can ever do that for you. You have to connect with that energy and you need to let it go. You're going to light the 3 candles. You don't have to light the candles. I like to light the candles because there's a symbolism in it, and it helps us to connect the energy. So the first one is forgiveness. You know, by the power of the 3, I forgive the T. I forgive everyone, and I forgive myself as well. Second, unconditional love. With the power of the unconditional love, I release all the claws. Now the claws to me mean curses, like I get into you, my little kitty claw, and I scratch you and I harm you and I let you bleed to death. I'm gonna release it. I'll send you unconditional love. I feel myself unconditional love, and it's time to let it go. It's time to transmute it into love. There is no need of the revenge anymore. The third candle is for the light. By the power of the 3, I light this unconditional, I light this candle with a light that will illuminate my path ahead of me. I will also illuminate the path of everyone I have ever cursed or harmed or did whatever. Because I want them to have a good life. These people suffered. Like, you don't know this, but what happened to them in their past lives after that wasn't very favorable. Karma is you know what, is a very, very bad word out there. And it bites you in the back many times. And so they did suffer their own consequences and so much on. And it's only up to you to release it. Once you release it, if you feel stuck somewhere, suddenly your life gets better. If you curse somebody abundance, oh my God, you bless your abundance and you bless this person abundance now. You curse their health and you're going through the health problems, voila, your health gets suddenly better. You release this ancient kind of the energy that was holding you back. And this is the last step, what you're going to do. Now, behind the revocation, you will also find how to find your soul symbol. It's an interesting journey when you put your mind up there and you says, okay, I'm really looking for the soul symbol because I want to have my soul knowledge back. And, you know, just finding the symbol is just the first step in getting or rising into your knowledge. Getting your knowledge is just a few steps at a time, a baby steps. When you really need to understand that ego, your human part of yourself, understand your beautiful soul. How do they come into this beautiful body? I have this beautiful, I like it, the saying, so I call it the beautiful saying, you know. This body is composed of the 3 energies, as you all know, because I talk about it all the time. Ego, soul, and the body. So the soul, when the baby is conceived, the egg and the sperm coming together, this beautiful kind of the energy, I see it as this beautiful green strand of the energy. The first organ that is created is the heart. Heart is the seat of your soul. The second organ that is created is gallbladder. According to modern medicine, it's the liver. But, you know, liver and gallbladder is there all together. So let's go with the gallbladder. Out of the heart, the sprout goes out, the gallbladder, and the liver grows. That's where your beautiful ego, that's that earth energy that comes back together, you know. Liver holds all the anger and the grudges from the past. Now guess this, gallbladder holds the decisions. That you have a choice to decide how you're gonna feel about your past. Wow, that's very powerful. Now, your soul comes with a sophisticated iPhone, absolutely top of the line iPhone. Now, your ego comes with an absolutely sophisticated Android. Then they come together and it says, oops, we are not really compatible. We each have a really cool technology or the task, but we are not compatible. And then at that point between the two of them, somewhere in the middle between your fourth and the third chakra, the third organ grows. The third organ is your spine. So the spine grows from the fourth chakra down to the third and the fifth, second and the sixth, first and the seventh. There's your beautiful spine, your kundalini energy, your spiritual antenna. Your nervous system is literally something that's supposed to make your soul and your heart compatible into the body that this nervous system grows. And it's really up to you. So only, oh, this grows the body, and we name the body, right? My body is called Eva in this lifetime. And I'm the proud owner of this soul and ego. And I really have to work with my nervous system to make them compatible so they don't fight all the time. They don't make me sick, they don't make me crazy, and each of them have totally different ideas, right? Like imagine just the file sharing like in these two phones, like when they do it, it's a nightmare. That's what that energy is. It's a nightmare if you are not find a way how to work with two of them together, making them compatible. So these three beautiful energies make this body. Now, very last thing I want to share with you is, why do you still have your Atlantean soul wound? I was thinking about it for a while. I said, we went through the Essene times, we already healed it. Why the heck it comes back again? Even the Essenes, I understand that could have healed again. Why we having it now? Why we experience this nightmares and panic attacks and depressions and all this and that? It is for us to remember. Your soul, neither your ego cannot come out with a full memory because it would override, it would literally fry out your nervous system. If you want to bring too much, it fries your nervous system. So our body is designed, or we are designing it literally, to remember a little bit and the pieces. So if I remember that I had a hood in the Atlantis, I will start remembering Atlantis. Now, somehow in this realm, we cannot really, we are remembering, we are awakening through the suffering. Suffering is the engine within this body. If you think of any kind of the situation when your life got after that better, you suffered. You get sick and you have to find a cure and heal yourself because maybe the medical industry doesn't have, the cure for you. And I do like medical industry. I think if they were 50-50 with the healers or with this energy, it would be more spectacular. But, sometimes it doesn't work. So you have to put yourself on this journey to heal yourself. And suddenly you realize, oh, I'm a healer and I understand these herbs and I know how does this work. So the suffering helps us awaken. So that's why we remember them and we remember the soul wounds. And once you do that, you will see that suddenly you can heal them really fast. You don't have to spend that much time of it or with it because you have done it in the past. Go backward. Don't go all the way first to the Atlantis. Go to the witch trial first. Get really over the grudge, the anger, unfairness. Feel it. Feeling is the secret. When you know and you combine it with a feeling, that's where it grows. That's where the big bang is happening. That's where the aha moments are happening. And that's when you're reprogramming. Then put in the body some positive affirmation that, yep, you are a healer, you are this and that. You are a doctor, maybe you are a lawyer. Whatever you are, put it back there. Then go and go into this Essene times. It's like totally different energy, like this, like, oh my God, I just want to be back there. And understand that there was not a supportive lifetime after the death and resurrection of the Christ, and that be hiding and feel abandoned. That was the way of life back then. Make up with God. Really have that big talk on why that happened. And congratulate yourself. You have done something so amazing that we are still connecting here with today. 2,000 years in the past is not a big time if you think about it. We have a real documentation that people lived. We know that it was not a made-up story versus when somebody says, well, Atlantis is a myth and is a made-up story. We know that this was true. And if this is true, then the Atlantis is true because these people had a teaching from there. Then go back all the way Atlantis. You want to make a stop somewhere in the Babylonian, Sumeria, the Egypt. Release whatever you, no release, let go whatever you need to go. I actually like the word let go much more better than the release, because I heard this amazing shaman Lady Bloom speaking about releasing our problems, like, right, releasing, like leasing them again. I was like, that's just a wordplay, but it resonates with me. We don't want to lease it again. We want to let it go. We want to transform it. We want to transmute it. We want to raise it from that hate and unfairness and fear into love. We want to be that love, because that's what gets us on that way back home. Let it go, transmute it, and embrace your abilities, whatever you did in the Atlantis, whoever you were, and bring it all the way back there. Now, this is what I call the timeline healing. When you would you say correct, when we heal those emotions, betrayals, the Essene times, the Atlantean times, naturally it projects back in your future. Our timeline runs like the infinity symbol, right? There's a tiny bit in the middle, there is the big in the past, big in the future, and so whatever I fix in the past, project for myself in the future. So when you do it, the future should be spectacular. Not only yourself, but for others, because you are not healing it only for yourself, you are healing it for humanity. And with this, I will end. There's a little tiny saying I want to reach to you. This comes from the Pleiadian book, Pleiadian Code book, from the chapter 7, which I very like, from the Pleiadians. Despite the path you have taken, you all are the children of God, and you all were created equally with love and light. There is a light within you that shines bright. There is love within you, and love that created your life. Life was created with love. Light was given to protect this life. Love and light is your original frequency and your birthright. And with this, I thank you everyone for joining me today. And I know I went over time, but I hope you have enjoyed it.